So John is at a point where he is going to be entering into the wonderful world of modern Assassin's Creed games after he finishes Control. Even though I can at least speak from experience, saying like I have 15 different games going at any given time, and
All right, listen,
doesn't.
my brain can only focus on one at once. It gets confused.
I am similar to John. Like I can do one. Like I've been playing based on Hunter's recommendation, Octopath Traveler. I think I have like 50 or 60 hours into it.
Jeez.
Or to be fair, too, one on the Switch, one on the PS4. So
I'm with you if the games are super heavy on story, right? So I would have a hard time doing Red Dead 2 and then I don't know, throw in your game.
I just feel like with this game, there's so much lore in here that's like
for Control.
Control does, but it's all kind of new lore, so it's not like you're going in having to have known anything beforehand. Like it's its own original thing. So I don't think you're going to forget anything. I mean, whatever, you play games how you want to play, and that's fine.
I would say, like, in the two Assassin's Creed games, Origins and Odyssey, they're not lore of the world heavy. They're more like lore of the mythology / historical references.
And you can ignore it if you want and still have like a pretty good time.
But
like you can not take in the majority of it and still play a pretty fun game for the most part. Like anything outside of the stuff between Demos and the main player, or the person you play as, anything outside of that, I kind of just like skip until I got to anything that was really serious, anything to do with the mother character or anything like that. And with Origins, I did that a little bit less, but still, like the stories were not the main focuses.
I think that's because Origin's story kind of flows a little bit better, and you are like with Bayek a little bit more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will say I do want to.
If you're not there from the beginning of his story, if you're not like instantly like, I want to see everybody bleed at the beginning of his story, then you're not a human being.
Yeah. My biggest complaint of that game.
I was going to say I do want to definitely see at some point. I definitely want to play through the Ezio collection, and I guess the first game really just to kind of get a sense of where we started.
I don't really need to play the first.
I don't know
if they would. Honest with you.
All right, that's fair. At the very least, then let me play through Black Flag because I have never played Black Flag.
I don't know if the Ezio games would hold up now.
Yeah.
Really?
It is a completely different play style and like everything, and there are some dumb shit in those games.
Well, because those games have grown a lot. I know that even as an outside observer. Like they've changed quite a bit.
Well, the first one is the second game in the series, which is so
That's true. That probably will not hold up as well as one would think.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're all backwards compatible on the one. I think there are some of them are on Game Pass.
Yeah, I don't think any of them are on Game Pass right now.
I think maybe they were. There's like an Ezio thing that was on Game Pass.
Well, if anyone wants, Origins is currently I think $15 on PS4.
No, I own it.
Yeah, I own it. No. Origins is so good.
It is.
And I was gonna say my one complaint is like I wanted to play as the
wife. Yeah,
as the wife. I was like, why does she not have her own game?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I think they realized that when they were going into Odyssey is that they wanted to tell both stories or give you the option to play as one or the other. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, there's a lot of yelling going on upstairs.
Yeah, I can hear it, actually.
I can hear it too. I'm just like, oh, who's gonna fight?
I'm glad they did learn that in Odyssey, because even though I did play as Alexios and I did enjoy my time, not having the option to play as Cassandra would be bothersome.
I've heard Odyssey is real good.
It is, which is funny because like I played as Cassandra and I had no interest in Alexios.
Yeah,
and I just hoed out and had sex with anything that moved.
Oh, I did that as Alexios also. I was just like, I'm gonna fuck everything that gives me the option to fuck it. So yeah, it's pretty great. Alexios is, I think I've said this before, but Alexios starts off kind of boring. He's not that interesting, but he grows. I can't say he grows more than Cassandra because I haven't played as Cassandra, but he grows quite a bit. And he becomes a better character over time.
See, I went with Cassandra because from everything I'd read, like the voice acting, there's worlds of difference between Alexios and Cassandra, and Alexios apparently is just like a big dumb piece of meat, and Cassandra is actually nuanced and actually seems like a caring character that wants to bone down on everything that exists in that world.
Yeah, and I think it's like the connection with the one character, I'm trying not to spoil, makes the Cassandra part kind of a little heavier.
Yeah, 100%.
To me.
100%.
Interesting.
Yeah, but John, I would suggest you play Origins first.
That's what I've heard. Like I've heard, if you really want to get into it, you start out with Origins.
Yeah.
I did it the other way just because, like, I think Alan gave me Odyssey, so like I played it.
Odyssey too. He gave 2 people Odyssey, because he had 3 codes. Apparently, I don't know how the hell he had 3 codes. But he had 3 codes. I played Odyssey first, and I do think that if I could go back in time, I would play Origins first, because when I played through Origins, I was just like angry that certain things that I think are unequivocally better in Odyssey, those things weren't there, and I was just bothered by them the whole time.
I feel like I get what you mean, but like I thought that the storytelling in Origins was so much better.
Well, it was so much tighter.
I'm talking about other stuff.
The gameplay. Well, there's no boats.
I missed abilities. I missed the special abilities so much during Origins. I was like, this would be done already if the special abilities were even like a little bit better.
The only thing I liked about Origins more, and maybe it's just the way I played it, like I felt like you could specialize your character a little bit more.
Yeah, I like that. I like that, and I like
because I basically made Bayek a sniper.
Yeah. I like being able to reset my abilities also. That was something that was nice. Bayek, you're very much locked in, but that's a typical thing. I feel like Odyssey allowing you to just switch it up and like, well, I have a mission where I need to be an assassin, so I'm gonna just go in and I'm gonna assassin up for this one. I think that's kind of an innovation. I don't know if other games with a skill tree like that do that. But I did like that the Bayek tree is so interconnected. So that you're not locked off by unlocking certain abilities. You're able to sort of continue and not be, like I said, blocked by your own choices from the past. It's kind of forgiving in that way. It's cool. But there's no boats, so
so 0 out of 10. Yeah, no,
yeah, 0 out of 10.
No ships, 0 out of 10.
Yeah, I like the ship combat a lot. That's the thing. So that's
my thing was I was just so in love with all of the changes they made with Origins.
Yeah.
Like, because don't get me wrong, like I really like Black Flag, but Black Flag was still very much trapped in the old ways of Assassin's Creeds. Right. And Origins is just like, hey, we're doing something new, and they did it so well.
My favorite thing is we're talking about Black Flag, and there's 4 games in between Black Flag and Assassin's and Origins.
Something like that, yeah.
4 games I heard are not good.
They're not doing that anymore, though. They're not doing this thing where they make.
They were pumping out 1 a year, and then the 1 year 2 came out because it was the one that was the Unity, which was the one in France, where it had the brothers. Like, was it 4 of them?
I guess.
Arno?
It was the multiplayer.
See, my interactions with Assassin's Creed are limited. My only ones have been like the first one and that god awful piece of shit movie that came out like a few years ago.
Well, I love the series, and then I was working at GameStop when not Black Flag, like right after Black Flag, and then when the next one came out. Well, the first one it goes Black Flag, Unity, and then at the same time as Unity is the Shea Patrick McCormick one that was only on 360 and PS3. Rogue. Yeah, those came out simultaneously.
Yeah,
they've made a lot of mobile games that nobody has fucking played.
Oh, and then there's all the Vita games. Remember they made Liberation?
Oh,
yeah. Like they've made
Vita
iOS games.
Yes.
Well, they made them.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think there's 3 side scrollers.
Yeah, they're it's like
China, Russia, and India.
Yep. Yeah, and they're not very good because one of them was maybe actually all 3 of them were with Games with Gold, like over 3
I think period. They were,
and they're not that great.
You know what it reminded me of? Remember when Mortal Kombat? Oh, I was gonna say when Mortal Kombat did that Sub-Zero game.
No, they're not that bad.
No, but I mean, it's like changing genres so hard.
Yeah, it's not what anybody wanted out of an Assassin's Creed game, and like that's the thing. They took 3 really interesting places, and we're just like, let's make them side
It's
scrollers.
the places that we talked about in our big group chat. Like, oh, they should do it here. It's the 3 ones that we're bringing up, and they did it in this.
Maybe do a real game in those places. That would be cool, but no. Why would we do that? Why would we give those places time of day?
Well, I was when we'd been talking about like why they haven't done Japan. I was reading a little bit about producers on the game, or one of the game producers saying like Japan is the one they get asked for the most, and they're like, it seems too obvious at this point. And I don't necessarily disagree either, because I mean we've had Neo, which is supposed to be really good, but I mean it's a Ninja Dark Souls game, and then you've got Sekiro, which is another Ninja Dark Souls.
Yeah, but it's not the same genre, because like all we've gotten. I feel like we haven't gotten like a ninja-y game like that it would work with since Tenchu?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Sekiro is for all intents and purposes like basically a Tenchu game, but a few tweaks here and there. At least in my mind, that's the way I look at it. Like it's definitely got that Dark Souls glean on it, but it feels a lot like a Tenchu game if you give it a chance. Just much harder and unforgiving. But yeah, I don't know, like Origins I still maintain is the strongest of the ones, just because Odyssey is too bloated. There's too much stuff to do.
I think the visuals for me in Origins sometimes are better, especially
stuff for me to know.
Like the stuff with the Duat is like fucking awesome.
Yeah, from what I was reading, like apparently when you play Origins on Xbox One X on like a good TV, like you can actually see what is Bayek's eagle's name, whatever it is. You can, when you're like scrolling around as the eagle, like you can actually see like a detailed, decent version of Bayek. Like they did it that good a job, and if you have a good enough TV and the Xbox One X, you can actually see all of the graphic fidelity they put into it. Like it's a phenomenal game. I wish I could play it again.
I could do that because I have all those things.
Yeah, same. I don't want to go back and do it because I'm deep into a game.
I think it's also your guys' hype for Valhalla in the chat got me excited to play an Assassin's Creed game again, which was kind of nice.
Yeah. Which
go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, of the things not to choose and choose something else, like they chose the right other thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I think
it's not going to feel the same. I don't think.
I hope not. I hope it's not just a reskinning of all the ideas that they've had since Black Flag, and just like, oh, now it's Vikings.
Yeah.
Because I'd really be kind of bored if it just goes the same way they did with Odyssey and Origins. Like, Odyssey was good, but I don't want to see that system again. Like, I'm okay with the weapon and fighting system, but do something different.
Oh yeah, I got so bored with like the battle things.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, go fuck yourself with that.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff just becomes boring, but at the same time, it was the easiest way to level up. So I'm sort of like,
well, if I wanted to play that, I'd buy a Dynasty Warriors game.
Right? Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's completely fair. But like they don't do enough to make it feel intuitive. After so many playthroughs, after a certain point, it's like, okay, well, this is either going to be the hard mode where they bring in another Mystios or whatever they're called, whatever the bodyguards, and it's going to be way too hard, or it's going to be way too easy, and it's just like I could be asleep while I play this. I mean, like they don't know where to go with that and how to balance that stuff.
That's the thing. I never really had any problems with those big battles after a certain point, because you just level up that spear ability that you throw it, that you can do it like 3 different times, and you just take out the hardest guys that way, and you're done. Like it's so easy.
It was it's the problem every single Assassin's Creed game has, which I think is just all games of that genre, which is it gets so repetitive after you reach like 2/3 to the 3/4 kind of mark, like. It's just like, all right, how many of this, like, this is like the 7th version of this mission. Like, how many I have to be hidden, but like follow this guy and listen to his bullshit.
And it's like their solution is to make a character who's so OP that it's not fun anymore. Like the giant monsters, they're interesting, but after a certain point, it's like, oh, this is the same idea.
Yeah, and one of them isn't even a fight.
Right. And it's like, and I know that for some people that might seem like a whiny thing, but like, look at the Arkham game. They did you fight giant person many times, but every time it felt different. Every time it felt like it was a different version.
And those games had that repetitive problem, but the repetitive problem was with like the side quest stuff, not like their main story kind of bosses.
Right. A lot of it became like, oh, you sneak through here and you do the thing where you sneak up on the person, or you solve a puzzle, and it's a real hard puzzle, isn't it?
in that exact wording, it's a gosh darn hard puzzle. Oh,
it's a real hard puzzle that's impossible for any human to complete ever. Like the people who go through and are like, I must complete every inch of this game. I feel for them. I'm sure they have times.
I do that in some of the games. Like when I play like the Lego DC Villains, I think I platinumed one of the two. Origins or Odyssey, just the regular story. I don't remember which one.
Right. So you went into every single cave and got every
well, I do know in Odyssey, which bothered me, is I did the endings in the wrong order, and it was the most confusing shit ever.
Oh no.
But it never it didn't keep me from doing it. So then I was like, oh wait, what? And then because I got to the last thing was the first one I did. Because I killed I did the 4 monsters as the first. I was like, oh, I want all this shit while it's still worthwhile for me to play in the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, this seems like the end. But the regular story hasn't ended.
The monsters are the thing I haven't gotten to yet.
Okay. Yeah, they should have really just had that as like an epilogue if you beat all the monsters. Yeah. No, that makes sense. But with your comment about the Arkham games, like going through and getting every single thing, like Arkham Knight, like I was all ready to go and do that because I know you can get like an extra ending, quote unquote, to it if you get all of the Riddler trophies. But then I'm like, wait, I'm not in it. I can't deal with
it's
this.
It's the only one of the Arkham games I did not do that because it was the worst version of that.
Wait, so on previous Arkham games, were you the person who was like, yeah, I'll use the Batarang. I'll use the Batarang on its own flying, which is the most confusing thing ever.
Well, you only do it just for those things. It does not exist to do anything else. I also never fought people with gadgets ever because I found them dumb.
You know what my problem with Arkham Knight was? Arkham Knight was great once you get past 2 hours worth of Batmobile missions.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't mind the Batmobile nearly as much as people made it out to be terrible. Like it wasn't great, don't get me wrong, but I didn't mind.
It was something. The problem was when you had to do the Riddler things with
much later in the game. Like you have to fight in that tank battle at the end, and that took forever because
I hate the tank battles because I had to sneak around them, and then they kept finding out who I was the last possible second, and it's
most of the tank battles were fine, but spoilers for Arkham Knight.
Spoilers for a 5-year-old game.
But Red Hood's tank is like next level OP. Like it's too much. It's far too much for a game.
That was the other twist. I hated that twist.
Oh, you mean when Arkham Knight tried to do the J.J. Abrams in the Star Trek Into Darkness?
You say it was, yes. Because I don't know if it was.
I just sat there. I was like, "Hey, look! It's Baby's first Batman story."
Yeah, you could see that coming a mile away. Like the first time you see like Jason Todd flashback, it's like, yeah, this is where this is going.
Why would they even? Also, again, I was working at GameStop during this time, and we got Red Hood merch. And I was like, okay, you just gave up at this point because everybody, once they first showed, everyone's like, well, it's obviously Jason Todd. Why would it be any other character?
I went in 50-50 because I was like, maybe they'll surprise us and they'll
We'd already seen Dick and Tim at that point, which they have the worst version of Tim Drake in anything ever.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
He's a douche.
I hate his bald head. I hate it so much.
Yeah,
it's the worst.
So bad.
But the other thing that bugs me about those games, and I kind of feel like it's it's not as bad in the Assassin's Creed games. I wish that I could play as the other characters in the main story, like after I beat it. Like with those other like variabilities, I'm like, that's all I want. Because that increases the replayability factor like infinitely.
Yeah,
if you can play as, I mean, not Barbara, because she's a
that'd be a real weird. Well, you'd just be playing Steel then. You'd be playing a Sparky.
Yes,
exactly. Well, they did have a there is the Batgirl one but it's in the past, I think.
I don't.
I did not know that.
Yeah, in Arkham Knight, one of
paralyzed.
There's like 4 DLCs, and one of them is a Batgirl one.
Right,
and it's
a killing joke. It's just minute for minute the killing joke.
Yeah, it's you, and I think Nightwing is helping you, and it's just them flirting the entire time. And then
it's better than what I thought it could have been.
And it's you fighting Harley, and she's in her like OG costume.
Yeah. Oh, wait, you're talking about the DLC missions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of them are terrible. The Red Hood one is bullshit.
When Arlen said it's just a killing joke, I was kind of hoping it was the animated version, so you and Batman have a sex minigame.
It's like God of War, like the originals.
And as it is in that movie, they confirm in that film that the Joker raped her, because that's what we needed. That's what we were waiting for 20 years. What isn't it, guys? Isn't that what we were all hoping for?
It's everything I could have ever hoped and fucking dreamed.
Ugh.
Yeah. Anyways, Valhalla had a trailer, and it was a cool trailer. Their trailers are always cool, even if the games are bad. The trailers are pretty sweet.
That was the thing in the trailer at the point where the main character, whatever, Olaf Olafsson, whatever his name's going to be.
He's probably a son of Ragnar, one of them.
Yeah,
because he had like 50. So
he sees. I guess we're to presume it's supposed to be Odin, but when I rewatched the trailer for like the third time, don't judge me. When I was watching that part in particular, it kind of looked like not Bayek. Well, that's the thing I'm trying to figure out. Like the first Assassin's Creed, that would have taken place after all of this, correct?
Yeah.
Time period. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. But this looks like it's
maybe
this might be the bastard armies, the heathen armies. So this is like 800s, give or take. So it's before any established character that I know of.
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, because
no, it would be after Bayek and.
Well, yes, but I'm talking about from the
other ones. Yeah, it would be before Altair, like by like 2 generations.
Okay, because it looked kind of like it kind of looked like Altair, or at least the old version of Altair. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe that's a misdirection that they're going to.
I mean, until he said Odin, I thought it was an assassin. So I think they're kind of playing on the mixed imagery there.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just glad I'm not the only one who saw that then. Okay, good.
Actually, going really quick onto the topic of video games, you guys hear about E3's replacement this year, quote unquote?
Yeah, that came out like the same day as this trailer, didn't it?
Yeah, and it's like you're getting an Xbox game announcement on Tuesday, I think.
Yeah, they're gonna show more of this game. They're gonna show more of Valhalla, is what I heard from one of my siblings. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm curious to see actual gameplay. And like Eric said, like I would like the combat stuff to remain.
Yes.
And all the maneuverability and the ability to, like I said, I really like the ability to just like throw away your skill tree and just like pick whatever you need for whatever you're going into, because that was just so helpful. I would like if they just don't change any of that. A story more akin to Origins, like in terms of how personal it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a lot of open ground for that. And obviously, people who know me, this is my setting. This is
your brand.
Like for me, like they really can't mess this up. They would need to like break something in the game for me to hate it. So I'm curious to see what they do with it.
Yeah, I'm wondering how they're going to attach some of their bullshit future stuff or past future stuff to this as well. Because I mean, they did that in Origins. They definitely hit on it a bit more than they did in Odyssey. Like I can barely even remember what type of Forerunner shit they had.
Well,
in
don't you know the
Odyssey.
twist? Michael Fassbender is going to show up.
No.
Oh well, all the stuff in Odyssey was tied to Atlantis.
That's it.
Yeah, and it's the same girl from Origins, isn't it? It's the same.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same researcher person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I don't mean like the present day. I mean the stuff with like the Forerunners and the guys and all that.
The big thing in Odyssey was shit.
Yeah, Atlantis.
What's his name? The dad.
Oh yeah. I know. I can't remember his name. God damn it. Not Sophocles. The one that the
medical guy.
Yeah. I can't remember.
It's Hippocratic Oath, so it's Hippocrates.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Now I think
the dad is the guy from Atlantis, right? He's the he's your dad.
Wait, is Atlantis in one of the games?
It's an Odyssey.
It's an Odyssey.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes me so excited now.
You don't get to play in Atlantis.
Odyssey basically suggests that the old world gods were Forerunners. That's what.
Speaking of, I would kind of love a Arthurian medieval, like in Arthur's kind of world.
I don't think they'll do that.
It seems like this is kind of has some of that.
Yeah, I think the reason that they went with this versus Arthurian is there are things you can confirm from this era, and it seems like that's what they do. They don't go for places where there are very noticeable gaps where you can just fill in a bunch of information. I think they like being able to say, well, this is what actually happened, and we can diverge a little bit, but I think that they like that backbone of being able to say, well, this is what definitely happened here. And they don't like periods like the Arthurian period where it's very, very big gap there for about 200 years where people kind of have an idea about what happened, but nothing is really confirmed. And I think that they would prefer that if they were going to do an Arthurian game. Like knowing who King Arthur was, what his real name was, and how long he was king and what he was king of. That would all be helpful for them.
That's
fair. They were going to do that. Which is why I said, like, a game set during the fall of Rome in Britain is more likely. Because we have records up to a point as to what was going on there.
They do Rome yet or no?
Stop.
No, not it's Origins is kind of.
Origins is kind of, and then Odyssey they kind of heavily suggest that like the things we're doing here will cause Alexander the Great.
Yes. And Origins is like Caesar and Cleopatra era of Rome.
Yeah.
Which with them setting up Alexander the Great, they're also setting up their hit upcoming sequel to Assassin's Creed, which will be Assassin's Creed Watchmen.
Right. Yeah.
Can't wait for giant blue swinging dick assassinating
final
people.
Villain. You fight.
You just fight the dick.
Well, yeah,
it's like God of War style. You gotta cut the dick off.
It'll be like climbing the statue of Zeus in Odyssey.
Oh,
I don't think I'm supposed to be here.
Stop! You're getting my heart all fluttered now in excitement.
You only get the special thing if you play as Cassandra.
Yep. Well, that's why wouldn't you play as Cassandra? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Arlen, why wouldn't you play as Cassandra?
On a entirely unrelated note, has anyone here been watching Clone Wars?
I watched the first 4 episodes because you've been bothering me about it.
I know. I've been bothering everyone about it because it's not even the first 4. It's the last 4. If they can stick the landing on Monday, I
would say, though, as a selling point for those who ever watch it that care anything about Star Wars at this point, they do a really cool idea with the clones in the first 4 episodes. With, what are they called?
Bad Batch?
The Bad Batch. They're fucking awesome. Like,
I love the Bad Batch.
I've heard good stuff, yeah. It's just my problem with Clone Wars has always been the same thing, which is I know the first few seasons are a little bit messy, and not in a way that I can deal with the way that I could with Rebels. Where it's like, okay, there's one season here that's not going to be the best, but I can deal with the rest of this. Whereas I've heard things like, these episodes in the first season of Clone Wars are great, and these episodes are awful. And so
there's never an entire great season. It's like batches of episodes are where it lies in.
Yeah.
Like
there's
these final 4 and how they've been running parallel and then converging with Revenge have been some of the best I guess, pieces of Star Wars content I've ever seen personally.
Yeah, I would say in the first four, what I really liked was the little bit that you got of Obi-Wan kind of straight up saying like, "Oh, he knows Anakin and Padme are a thing."
Yeah, I mean, I will be honest. You can low key skip the next few episodes because they're boring.
Yeah, well, I do want to say like it looks great, and I love the voice acting and the stuff that it builds on has been good.
I really love the fact that they had Ray Park come back to motion capture the fight between Maul and Ahsoka.
That's cool.
Like, it was kind of dope how they did it. Like, there was a behind the scenes look.
Do the voice? Because that's a weird choice.
No, it's Sam Witwer who's been doing the voice. The guy from Supergirl season 4.
Yeah, he's been doing it for the.
Yeah. John, get your hearing checked, John.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misheard. Yes, he came back to do the voice. It wasn't Ray Park who did the voice.
And you say he's from Supergirl, but he's really from Smallville because he was Doomsday.
Human,
all right, fine, Lou.
He was the first live-action Doomsday.
You son of a bitch.
This is true. He set the template for all future Doomsday.
He set the template for Ninja Turtles Reject.
He'll always be a Star Killer to me.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Oh shit! That is true. I forgot about that.
Yeah. God, he is good. I've never played those games either.
The first one is good.
There was a time where I would have said making Star Killer canon would hurt the Star Wars franchise. That time has passed.
But wait, are you telling me you're not a fan of Ray Palpatine Skywalker?
I really don't want to go down this road.
My favorite detail, John, the confirmation that Palpatine fucks, which he does not. Anyways, we're not.
Wait, you called him Palpatine. You call him your favorite name.
Well, no, he's always Sheev in my heart. He always will be.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's actually the perfect time to go down this road. It's coming out on May 4th on Disney Plus.
It is, and so is the final episode.
For a week, and then it'll be late at night. I'll rewatch it.
I'm gonna give it a rewatch to do it. Just I haven't seen it since the theaters, and I might as well.
I'm only gonna rewatch the Rose
trilogy, and I'm gonna do that.
I'm only gonna rewatch the Rose scenes.
Oh, so we'll have 10 minutes of a movie to watch.
Oh, you're being very kind.
Lou, does this mean we're gonna have to do Rise of Skywalker as a commentary? Please no.
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank God.
No, I will not allow it. I will fire you before I allow that to happen.
As the Lord of the Horse Riders said in Lord of the Rings, you hold no power here.
Gandalf the Grey.
You shut up, us.
Franchise that has never been sullied by future sequels and incarnations ever. No,
I've still never seen the third Hobbit.
I've fallen asleep to it 3 times. Yeah, I've never finished it.
It's like there's so many of those movies where I'm like, I just didn't get a chance to see it, and then after when it's in, I'm like, waiting for, and then just everybody I know is like, don't bother. I'm like, I guess I'm never seeing this movie until I'm forced to for a podcast.
See, that was the thing. Like, I went into the first Hobbit, I didn't see it in the theaters, but I don't think I even owned it. I think I borrowed it from work at the time. And I was like, all right, this is going to be fun. It's the Hobbit. I love the Hobbit when I was growing up. Reading it, I'm like, well, I mean, it's, right. I don't know how they made it into 3 movies, but, and 45 minutes in, I'm like, oh no, what have they done? What have they done?
I can just go, get high and watch the Rankin and Bass cartoons.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
the only way to watch them. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big event for me and one of my siblings. I didn't have a car at the time, so we rode the bus downtown to the big theater. We bought lunch beforehand.
Wow.
We sat in an IMAX screen. It was a big day. We spent all day getting there and getting home to watch The Hobbit, the first one. and that was the best experience I had with those films. Because
I had
it was
a better
all downhill from there.
Now, would you say the best part of that was watching the movie, or when the old man on the bus propositioned you?
It was probably coming back when the old man on the bus propositioned us.
Okay.
Yeah, that was real great. Yikes.
I've got something hairy like hobbit feet. Would you like to see it?
Like, by the time of the third movie, I was like, can they
Would
sing
you like to
again?
come to my hole in the ground?
God damn it. Can they start just breaking out into song again?
Well, that's the best part of the first one, is when they do.
No, that's what I'm saying. I missed that, and I wanted it to come back, but it doesn't. It's CG dwarfs that look awful. Isn't the right word.
I feel like with all the documentaries of movies that didn't get made, there should just be a documentary on all the movies that Guillermo del Toro wanted to make but then didn't get to make, and the world is worse for it.
Yes,
that's gonna happen someday. Like there's gonna be
it's like Mountains of Madness,
Dune about all of his movies.
It's Mountains of Madness, Hellboy 3, The Hobbit
2.
Justice League Dark.
Hellboy 3, the movie that we didn't get made because we had to do a much more important reboot that everyone loved.
Well, okay.
I'm being sarcastic.
I know you are, but here's the thing. I have a problem with the way people like to phrase that story. That was not what happened. What happened is Legendary said, no, we're not giving you $250 million, Guillermo, which, as a Guillermo fan, I was against. But as a person who understands money, I understood.
Yeah.
And then what happened is the rights reverted back to
Mignola.
Forgotten Mignola. They reverted
who
back
wants
to
to
him.
who's like, oh, I made this character. Why am I not the one mostly associated with creating the goodness?
Right. So he wanted to start over. And I don't begrudge him for wanting to start over. The people I begrudge in regards to that movie are the people who actually made it and somehow fucked it up despite being the perfect people to take it over.
Yeah.
I totally get that. But
that's more egregious. If they were like Paul W.S. Anderson people, I'd be like, okay, it's Paul W.S. Anderson. I didn't expect anything good.
I don't know. Like
trash.
Whoever thought, let's start our universe with the story from the last Hellboy book. Fuck that person.
Yeah,
I will say though, here's the thing. I get that, but at the same time, my problem with it is, hey, Guillermo del Toro just won an Oscar for director and picture.
That was after though.
He hadn't done that though. He hadn't done that.
Yeah, he. Yeah, because that's after.
I would have been like, let's give him carte blanche to do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, I feel like the timeline is what he loses Hellboy 3. He's gonna do Justice League Dark. That goes away. Then he signs on for Creature of the Black Lagoon. That goes away. Then he basically does his fish fucking movie and wins an Oscar. Well, and then everyone's like, y'all done fucked up, all of you.
He's like, I'm just going to do Black Lagoon on my own. I don't need your...
It's like, I'm going to do Black Lagoon, Black Creature from the Black Lagoon plus Ape Sapien together, and he's going to get laid.
Yep.
Yeah.
I forgot that he's doing a stop-motion Pinocchio movie.
Yeah, Pinocchio was one I was going to mention. He's got a lot of projects. He's had, like... I was on IMDb in 2008, and a lot of his projects that were there are still there in development. But yeah, like if I blame anybody for him not doing more Hellboy, it's actually him. Like, I felt like Hellboy could have been the modern Indiana Jones.
I blame Mignola. I think he was in that budget was insane.
On like another sequel to Hellboy 2 not getting made. Because I blame multiple people. Mignola not being choosy with who he went to, that's part of it. Like he could have picked better partners who were not for a time thinking of hiring Bryan Singer for Red Sonja. Better partners than that might have been a good idea. Yes, I blame Mignola on that.
But the whole thing is like this all happened in like I believe after because Mignola left comics to go do real art. And then that did exactly that sound that Eric made. And then he was like, oh, and then I was like, but I'm the guy who made Hellboy. And they're like, yeah, but Guillermo's the one who made it like awesome, and that's the Hellboy we know.
Yeah,
And then
Gilmour's
he's like,
the one who
"Fuck all
made
you
it a
guys."
household name, for
Yeah.
lack of a better
the reason
term.
that there are super fans. Of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, like, yeah, he
And-
introduced it to new people.
And don't get me wrong, I'm sure those people went and sought out the comics then, are like, oh, this is actually really good.
Yeah,
And like,
that's the way I went about it. I went movies first, then they did those 2 animated films, which I think are underrated.
I've never seen them. I know
they
they're
have
free on various places at this point.
Yeah,
so.
well, Ron Perlman does the voice.
Yeah.
Which ones? Those animated ones?
Yeah, it's like Sword of Storms and something else.
Blood and Iron.
Yeah,
I'm at a point where I have a real hard time watching anything animated. I know,
Fair.
like it's like, I hate to be basic bitch, but like unless it's Pixar or it's something that like I'm super excited about.
Of the old times, like old Mickey Mouse cartoons.
No,
Yeah, even Pixar is in a cell for me.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, I don't know. They kind of won me back with Coco. Like Coco was
but that's
so
like that's also that creative team.
Yeah,
I'm saying they're not automatic. I do.
no, it's not like it used to.
Yeah.
But I can't jump into animation that much anymore, and I don't know what it is. It's that I don't think I have the patience for it. Like I can watch like other stuff that I've seen before, like Akira and things like that, but Into the Spider-Verse, but just I don't know.
I think it's also
really has to
like
hit me right.
There's so many levels to like animated stuff because there's like the stuff for kids, then there's like the stuff for kids and families, then there's like that kind of Shrek level, and then there's like grown-up stuff, and then there's anime.
I don't want to live in a world where there has to be a delineation called Shrek level.
But like, you know what I mean? Like where it's like there's so many adult jokes, aren't they rebooting Shrek?
Oh god.
Yes, they are.
Oh please
But
no.
it's the Despicable Me people, so it's gonna be bad.
Wait,
Yeah.
what? Hang on,
Yeah,
I
I
can't
can't-
about this.
Great. I can't wait to
this
see all
was
the
wild.
memes that housewives have.
Wait.
Shrek on
It's not the Illumination people. It's just the one guy who owns Illumination, but he's not like the studio.
I'm pretty sure Illumination bought DreamWorks.
DreamWorks?
No, Universal bought DreamWorks.
Okay, well,
So they have 2 animation companies.
it's the same. Anyways,
It's the same daddy.
they bought DreamWorks and now they own Shrek. So yeah, it is. My understanding is it's going through Illumination and DreamWorks technically.
Well,
but it's,
and I guess AMC
like,
loses out on Shrek money too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
This is an older article on Tuesday Variety reported that Despicable Me and Minions producer Chris, I'm not pronouncing that last name, is overseeing a reboot of the DreamWorks animated franchise.
Okay, so it's just him, not the actual studio.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
But-
he is responsible for the voice of Illumination up until this point. Like, he created Despicable Me, which, as far as I'm concerned, that and Illumination are one and the same thing. Like, they're part and parcel. So, me being worried that they're going to Illumination Shrek isn't a crazy concern. At the same time, it could be fine. Like, I don't think of Shrek as hallowed ground. I think the first movie, if you go back and watch it, it's funnier than it should be, probably.
With like, especially with what happened to it.
Yeah. And the rest of them, it's like, okay, we're just repeating the same jokes over.
I think I've only seen the second one, and the only reason I saw it was because all the other princesses were SNL actresses.
Yeah, that's the last one worth watching. So yeah,
I think the only reason I saw the first one is because at that point I was working at a sneaker store, and for a week I was running the kids section. So they just had that playing on a VHS in the corner.
The first one is legit, like, I think good. And it has, like, what I mean when I go back, like, the Shrek level, it's like a kid's movie that's a kid's movie on the surface, but is like 90% the jokes are for adults. Because Farquaad's entire existence is a dick joke.
Jokes. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Farquaad is funny now because now I know that that's a joke about Jeffrey Katzenberg. Or not Jeffrey Katzenberg, the other guy who was running Disney at the time.
Michael Eisner?
Yeah, now I know that that's a joke about Disney and Michael Eisner. So it's funny on that level. It's not as funny to me, but here's the thing. I watched that movie maybe 300 times as a child. Like,
well,
God.
Yeah.
When did I gotta find out when this came out? Because I'm like, was I a kid when it came out? I feel like I was.
2001.
Wait, which one again?
I
I'm
was
sorry,
like-
Shrek
The
3rd
first
or
one.
Oh,
The first one came out in
I
2001. I was a freshman. Eric was paying his first mortgage.
Not yet. No.
Yeah, I was 8. I was about to enter 3rd grade.
Oh,
and
you're
the same age as me. Oh yeah, John. You, me. I think Hunter's like a year older.
Yeah, goddamn Generation Z.
That explains why I saw that movie when I did, because I was 23 at the time, so it was the cursed age. Got it. Yeah.
Well, no one likes you when you're 23.
Well, shouldn't I be dead? Isn't that the number?
I think we're spending too much time on Shrek, so that's.
We're
spending more time on this.
Anyone spent on Shrek
in a long time, in a very long time, certainly.
Well,
although I did just learn that the guy in the hood was it Lashoof from Ocean's 13 or whatever, Ocean's 12?
Oh God, that
the French
guy.
guy.
I can't remember his name. Yeah, he's actually a really well-respected actor. That's the thing.
I did not know he was in Shrek.
I'm so sorry for him.
Wait, hang on.
He's in Westworld right now. He was in
the show still exists.
Yes, it's great.
Vincent Cassel.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, Westworld is still on and it's still good. I
don't care what you he was Talor, but didn't he have like a goofy French like the Fox or something like that?
Yeah, he called himself the Fox. He was in I think 2 and 3 of the Ocean movies.
Yes.
Yeah, he was.
Are they making another one of those?
Oh God.
No, I don't think Ocean's 8 did that well.
No, I think they're making an Ocean's back to the other oceans.
Never mind.
Coming back?
I don't think that's happening. Well,
yeah.
I mean, unless they're just going to ignore the events of Ocean's 8. They kill off Danny Ocean in that film.
Well, I thought they just say he's dead.
She's at his grave. Yeah. He's dead.
Oh, I have another movie I did not watch because
it was on HBO the one weekend, or it was on HBO a while ago. And it wasn't terrible, but it was definitely like, all right, it's as much as the female cast Ghostbusters was basically trying to be like, hey, let's do this with an all-female cast.
Mm-hmm.
It was very much that, and I'm trying to say that as gently as I can, not to come across as a sexist or anything like that, because it's not why I know whatever. I'm 900.
Well, is the problem with it that they're trying to do that too much? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing. There are parts
not just
that I
doing
really
it.
Liked. Yeah, exactly. It's instead of them just doing it, the advertising campaign. The advertising campaign for it was very much like it's Ocean's 11, but it's ladies, and like, come on.
You mean it's Lady Roadhouse?
No.
Yeah,
Lady Bloodsport. These are all things that were going to happen until people saw Ronda Rousey act.
Yeah. I would say Ocean's 8 is probably, of all the things that you're talking about, and there are a lot of examples of what you're talking about, Eric, I would say it's one of the better cases.
It is, but it still felt like that's what they were. The advertising, at least, was trying to do that.
Oh,
that's not necessarily what the movie was, but the advertising was definitely like, it's Ocean's 11, but they got vaginas. Like,
it's the late,
but and their vaginas are as good as dicks.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Watch this bunch of cunts steal some.
I wish they said it like that too.
I feel like it's one of those things where like you look at Bridesmaids and you're like, oh, we can do this, but they learn all the wrong lessons.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, I wasn't a huge fan of Bridesmaids because obviously I don't like women. No, I just but I still see it was good, and it wasn't trying to be like it's a comedy and it's a gross raunchy comedy.
That movie is worth it just for Maya Rudolph shitting herself in a wedding dress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really good.
Although I would also say, Wine Trip is the Netflix movie they made.
Is that any good? I didn't watch that yet.
I really liked it. I watched it with my wife a while ago. I thought it was really funny.
I remember I really liked The Heat, the one with Sandra Bullock.
Oh, I thought that was funny too. Because I thought that was funny because it has Bill Burr and Michael Rappaport finally as brothers from Boston.
Oh God!
Oh God, that's right. That's right. They did that.
It's the house.
Yeah, go to Melissa McCarthy's family, and it's like all the Boston people that you would ever want in the same.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And also, when I watched that movie, I'm like, Marlon Wayans, what happened to you? You were talked about to be Robin at one point.
Oh God!
Oh no!
G.I. Joe happened, and then he just fell.
No, I don't think it was G.I. Joe. I think it was The Little Man.
I mean,
that was before G.I. Joe, though.
G.I. Joe still happened.
Yeah, G.I. Joe was after the fact,
which I still want to do on this podcast, by the way.
You have fun recording on your own, then, John. Because I am not watching that movie again. Like,
Hunter will join me.
Like it's one of the only times where I'd say let's just skip the first one and watch the second one because.
But I think the first one is it's so bad that it's.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's ways to talk about.
It is a fascinating.
That I saw it multiple times in theaters.
So did I.
So yeah, like I don't want to see it ever again. And like.
The only thing I would talk about in the second one is I would want to spend 45 minutes talking about what the RZA is doing and why people let him do it.
He's the hard master.
Doing what he wants to do, Lou.
Yeah.
He's doing what he wants to do. You son of a bitch.
And I say this as someone born in Staten Island and a fan of the Wu-Tang.
You know he's got a new movie coming out, like directing wise?
Of course he does. Of course, yeah. Why wouldn't he?
But it's not a martial arts movie.
Well, after The Man with the Iron Fist, I think he knows he's not allowed to anymore.
That was like 10 years. That was like a long ass time ago too.
But yeah, no, he's got.
You can see Russell Crowe on set, just drunk as a, just like, what am I doing? Gun with a sword at the end. Okay.
And then he tried to fight somebody.
Yeah. He'll do any movie as long as you put 30 odd foot of grunt on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Isn't that the name of his shitty band?
Yes.
Yeah.
You give him like 2 cases of Foster's, and then you just put that on the soundtrack, and he'll do whatever because he'll be in a drunken
that's how they
haze.
got him as Jekyll and Hyde.
Queen Anne,
yes.
I think that's what it's called. Queen Anne, whatever the nice one is. That's the beer.
I wouldn't know. I don't know anything about Australian beer.
There's a nice one and Australians will tell you Foster's is like horse piss.
Oh yeah, I know. I've heard that too. Yeah. Well, actually, funny enough, on my grandfather's sailboat, that was the emergency bathroom for men. He had a giant can of Foster's. That was just like, here you go.
But that's like that. Like Stella Artois is supposed to be like shit beer in Europe.
Yeah.
But they treat it like it's fucking fancy here.
It's the old wife beater is what I've heard it referred to. Which, don't get me wrong, I don't mind Stella, but it's definitely
fine.
Yeah. Imagine if they sold like not kokanee, but yeah, kokanee is like fine beer in Europe. That's what it's kind of like.
Yeah. I don't know.
What are we talking about?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Shrek.
This is what this again, like we talked about comics. This is what happens when you don't have human contact for 7 weeks.
So lonely. I have no idea what you're talking about, John.
30 odd foot of grunts.
Fine.
Wow, have you
no problem
already?
I think they had to cancel their tour. That's pretty sad.
Who?
They won't be giving refunds though.
No.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Has anyone watched anything recently? I know you've been watching Clone Wars, John.
I'm also watching Community for the first time.
Oh, okay.
I would say I don't think I've actually recorded saying this. So me and my wife have this schedule. So Mondays, because I have class stuff, we don't watch anything. Tuesday is my pick. Wednesday we watch a TV show. Thursday is her pick. Thursday is another TV show. Friday's her pick. Saturday's a doc, and Sunday's a classic movie. So we watched To Catch a Thief last Sunday, and we watched the Michael Douglas movie in the 80s.
Basic Instinct?
No, the
Thief?
funny Romancing the Stone.
Yeah.
Because it's on Hulu, and To Catch a Thief was because I've only really seen horror Hitchcock, so watching a non-horror Hitchcock was really interesting.
Have you seen North by Northwest?
No, that's probably either North by Northwest or Dr. No is gonna be my pick for tomorrow.
North by Northwest is a real good movie. That's like my favorite Hitchcock.
Has your wife seen Dr. No before?
No. I don't think she's seen any Bond movie.
Wow.
So that's my point. It's like I kind of want to start with the original.
Arlen just slipped an audio file of his.
I've listened. If you want to hear Arlen's thoughts, you can go to Lost Haro and listen to.
Ooh, nice plug. Nice transition.
Yeah,
I know your feelings on it, but it's not the best. On Her Majesty's Secret Service is better. That's the second one, right?
Yeah, if you're talking Connery stuff though, the sweet spot is From Russia with Love, which we also talked about on that podcast.
Goldfinger.
Is that From Russia with Love's the second one, right?
Yeah, and
that's the best. That's the better one. Yeah.
Yeah, On Her Majesty's Secret Service is the Lazenby one.
Yeah, there's so many of them.
I actually really liked Thunderball. I don't know if the other Bond podcast came out already or not.
No, it's only been the one.
Well, then that one's coming out either tomorrow or next Sunday. So I don't want to spoil it, but I actually liked Thunderball quite a bit.
Did you watch both of the Thunderballs together or no?
We're saving the other Thunderball for a while because that story is fucking crazy.
Well, not to go into a James Bond thing, but listening to that book, it's there's 4 movies that are all basically Thunderball, the book. Because 2 of them are actually it, and then there's 2 of the other ones are basically taking huge chunks and readapting them.
Yeah. Well, they did that a lot though, because what was it? It wasn't Thunderball. It was I can't remember. Live and Let Die. Is also another one where they mined it multiple times. It was used for Live and Let Die, and then it was used for License to Kill. Yes, another movie that they also used it for.
I do kind of want to watch the 2 Timothy Dalton ones.
Yeah,
because I think I've only seen the one once. The one with the woman from Law and Order, which is not going to help anybody.
No, not Olivia Diabo.
No, it's shit. I'll have to look it up. I think it's the second one.
It's License to Kill. License to Kill is the one that's super ultra violent. And it's aggressively 80s. Versus The Living Daylights, which is clearly a Roger Moore script. They just didn't rewrite it enough before having.
Yeah, because he was 800 years old and oh shit, we can't actually do this.
Yes.
Well, Lou, if you're gonna have her watch a James Bond film, specifically a Connery one, then shortly after it's over, you should then force her to watch the Barbara Walters interviews, just to see where Sean Connery was.
All it reminds me of is if you've never listened to How Did This Get Made, Zardoz, and it's the poem. It's Roger, I have a poem. It's choke a bitch, slap a bitch, choke a bitch, slap a bitch, here a bitch, there a bitch, choke a bitch, slap a bitch. It's amazing, Sean. It's going in the film.
Film that I've seen, and oh my!
If I could find it, that would be the movie we're watching tomorrow.
Oh my God, Zardoz is something. Everyone has to see it just to be this is what Sean Connery chose to do instead of James Bond.
Well, it definitely erased James Bond from everyone's mind.
And it's so weird. You watch John Borman's other movies, and you're he's a good director, right?
Yeah. Well, it's called Drugs, and it's actually kind of goes back to the Guillermo del Toro thing. He wanted to make Lord of the Rings, and it did not work out. So he's I'll make my own fucking Lord of the Rings, and I'll do
Which version of Lord of the Rings was he reading that he was
I think
gonna
we're
make
talking
us
about
all?
Excalibur. Excalibur is his Lord of the Rings.
No, like
Yeah.
I swear the story is like he pitched doing Lord of the Rings and was turned down, and then he made Zardoz.
A lot of people were doing things like
Yeah.
that. Like,
But he wanted to make like a big fantasy epic multi-movie kind of thing.
I still also find funny that Sean Connery, what was it? He turned down Gandalf because he didn't get it.
No, he turned down Morpheus.
Yeah, Morpheus.
He
Yeah.
did both of those though. He didn't get either of them. He was like, I don't understand.
And then he did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yes.
The highest rated video on this podcast.
Kind of understood.
I don't hate that movie, but like I do love that I had to do a project for school. Like I'm doing a project for school, and they're like, when it's like, oh, using graphic novels, and like they named 6 graphic novels, and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was on there. I was like, who the fuck put this in here for high school kids?
Yeah, that's
there's there's an invisible man that gets raped by a giant monster man.
Raped to death. Not just raped to death.
Well, he has that hide dick.
Oh,
right.
God.
Yeah, they might as well put Lost Girls on there.
Yeah, well, it's,
well, the one that was good that I actually wrote about was somebody did a book on Hiroshima, and it was like really interesting as like a kind of tale. The thing is Gen and like Gen's story of Hiroshima.
Huh. I'm guessing it's manga.
No, it's
I'm surprised. I don't know.
It's called Barefoot Gen.
Okay, because I think there was actually an anime adaptation.
Yeah, then maybe it was a manga at first. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not John. I don't know.
Okay. But yeah, to roll all the way back, watching
no, not you, John, the other John.
Silence.
Yeah.
Watching To Catch a Thief was really, really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it's on Amazon. Amazon actually Prime has like an amazing like amount of like classic like movies. All colorized. There's in HD, and I think there's like 15 minutes of the movie you don't hear Cary Grant talk. Like, there's so long of silence, and it was like astounding.
Well, because Hitchcock was a silent film director first. That's where he started. So he kind of never stopped being that. He used sound when it was helpful to him.
Mm-hmm. But I actually, I loved how it did that, because it was like, oh, you kind of got so much story without like. I was like, oh, you don't really need like the exposition, which is like a goofy thing of the era, was like the newspapers, but then like you kind of just got he didn't need to talk, and it was great.
Yeah, that's just real quick sidebar about Amazon Prime. Like, my wife and I don't order enough from Amazon to really make it worthwhile for us to have Prime anymore, and B, the app interface is garbage.
Oh, it's completely dog shit.
I hate it so much, and that's partially why we don't have it anymore, because I was like, I can't deal with this. My wife's like, yeah, I was going to try and watch something, but I couldn't find it.
We use Prime enough that like we get our dog food on there, we get like a bunch of household stuff, so like it's more of just like an add-on. Like we had Prime way before the video service.
Yeah, no, I totally get that, but I don't understand the people who are stalwart Prime fans, because how do you watch anything? Like, unless you're just like, well, I guess I'm just going to watch things in this first 5 sections that I can choose from, because everything else is impossible to find.
Yeah,
like the fact that you can't bring up like a sub menu that shows you everything in that particular list is.
I think it also matters what you're using. Were you using like an Xbox or
Apple TV? Oh,
really? Because that's what we use, and it was like it's not as bad now. Like they've cleaned it up a bit.
I looked through it the other day. It's the same setup.
It's
just bar after bar of stuff that you can't go to like see all. You just have to scroll through them.
Yeah.
The weird thing is that like they have fixed it in one place, and it's their proprietary system. It's the Amazon Fire Stick. The Fire Stick. It's 1,000,000 times better than their app. But why would we put it on anywhere else? You have to have the Fire Stick in order to get the best version of Prime. Like,
well, and I get why they wouldn't do it on the Apple TV, because
Sure.
no, our competition, we can't. Like they begrudgingly put that onto Apple TV, but it's still just like, guys, you would have so many more customers if you would actually fucking clean this up.
Like, it's that, but like so many of them are like not great though. Like I find Netflix's sometimes to be like preposterously annoying.
Yeah,
for certain things.
Like there was a peak of like how useful Netflix's system was, and it's just become really annoying. And
yeah, I honestly think Hulu has the best design. Hulu and Disney Plus have the best like user interfaces I've dealt with.
Hulu's is very clean, and
yes,
I like the way like their profile system works. I think it does a better job, and I think you could find things much better, and adding things to your like watch list, and then that makes suggestions. Like I think works so much better.
Yep. Yeah. Like because I only find myself going on to Netflix if I know there's something specifically on there, or it's like, oh hey, it's a new season of the show we've been watching. Outside of that, we just kind of have it just to have it. Like oh, the burdens of having so many streaming services.
And there's another one coming next month.
How terrible they are.
Well, I mean, I'll actually have to start paying for HBO, being that I'm using my friend's subscription. So, although who is it? Comcast customers get HBO Max.
AT&T.
God damn it!
Comcast customers are probably going to get that sweet Peacock.
Yeah, they're gonna get cock all over their faces.
It's a rainbow of cock.
That's the title of the episode right there, a rainbow of cock.
Well, then I challenge Arlen to make a picture that's just dildos of different color. Dildos for the peacock's tail.
We are not an X-rated podcast.
You just blur them all out.
We're a softcore podcast.
You just blur out. You just cut off the tips, so then they can't really tell.
All right. Well, then you just get like a bunch of different shower massagers that are different colors. That's essentially the same.
That's actually funnier. That's more.
Well, I was gonna say, or just like tentacles.
Yes.
No, shower massagers are funny because there are people that don't realize that that's what that's for. They think they really are just shower massagers.
I actually. To go back, I literally listened to, because I've been listening to like certain movies on how did this get made. That happened in one of the episodes where Paul Shear was like, "Oh, I got this," and then Jason Mantzoukas turned and was like, "You bought a vibrator? Like that's not a back massager."
Like people make attachments to make it easier for people of a male gender to use those things. Like that's
Wait, what? What?
Yeah, there are attachments you can use. So that those will work better on a male genitalia. So yeah.
What?
Just that.
Why? Biologically, men have the easiest job on earth to be able to do that. Why would you to buy attachments to a robot to be able to? Fuck.
Eric, there are men who like to stick metal straws into their penis to stimulate.
It's called sounding.
Yeah, it's called sounding. Yeah.
So why are you asking me this question when you know the answer?
Sounding is actually something that I think came from a weird medical fetish, because there are items called sound which are used for exactly that, and I think people are just like, well, wait, I really like the idea of that. I'm going to.
Yeah. Even though that one's apparently kind of dangerous if you don't do it right. Go figure. So shocked.
I hate the world. We deserve this disease.
Yes, we do. We deserve the oncoming apocalypse.
No, I was gonna say, like, my wife and I just recently watched Jojo Rabbit. Because it was like $10 on iTunes, so I'm like, all right, I'll buy it because I hadn't seen it yet, and I enjoyed it, but I know this probably sounds ridiculous, but I was kind of surprised at how much more serious it was than I was expecting. Like the advertising for it made it seem more like it was this ridiculous comedy and blah blah, and it's still great, but I was just like, oh, I mean, based on the content, understandable why they have to take a more serious route, but it's like, oh geez, okay, This is a bit more than I expected.
I'm actually surprised. I did not know that. So,
oh really?
I thought it would have been a straight comedy.
No.
No, it's way more serious and dramatic than you think.
Like, if as like a reference, it's probably closer to Hunt for the Wilder People in terms of his past movies.
Yeah.
In terms of the balance of serious and comedy, and it's even more serious than.
I would say it feels kind of like if Taika Waititi and Wes Anderson kind of did a movie together, because I got a weird Wes Anderson vibe. I think that's just because of the World War II, like the era.
I think it's the styling.
Yeah,
but there's a twee thing.
Yeah, there is. There definitely is. But yeah, it's totally worth watching. Like it's a great movie. I need to watch it again, but I mean, I'm not at the point where I'm like, I don't know. Like I definitely enjoyed it, but it's like it was a bit much. Like not in a bad way. It was just like, whew, okay, I wasn't expecting this in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I saw that back in the theater back when there were still theaters.
When there was an outside.
And I had a very good time with it, but yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot in that movie. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, and it's not like it's like, all right, this is going to be a funny moment and this is going to be serious. It's like, here's a joke and now here's something horrific. Like it vacillates very much between the two of them, and there's no real not rhyme or reason, but there's no real like rhythm to it. Like it's just like, all right, this is going to be real bad for a while now. Oh wait, here's serious. Or here's something funny. Yeah, it's good though. Don't let my poor description of it dissuade you, Lou. Definitely check it out.
Yeah. If you want to hear two people talk about it in length, listen to the Lost Horror podcast, where I heard out Eric Sayor for not loving it. So, so yeah, it's interesting.
He's had bad takes, like saying Sean Connery is not sexy.
Here's the thing. In the context of knowing that, like an episode or maybe two before, he said Toshiro Mifune is like his man crush. It makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like if you know in context, it makes a lot of sense that Eric Sayor's like, Connery's not my bag. But Mifune, he's all up in it. So
he only likes the hair on the face, not on the rest of the body.
Sure. That's how you want to take that. Sure.
Sure. For me, Michael
I can make
Fassbender
that.
Can be the big spoon.
I was gonna say I can make that joke because.
I've mostly been playing video games. That's part of why we talked about Assassin's Creed up front.
How the world has turned.
The way that I play video games, for the most part, is I play video games while listening to podcasts. So the podcasts were actually what I was doing. I was listening to podcasts, but I feel like just the worst person if I'm just sitting there listening to a podcast.
I honestly, I do the exact same thing. That's why I've been listening to these How This Get Made and stuff.
So it was really more about that. So I haven't really been watching things. The thing that I've been watching, and again, this will be a surprise to nobody, is the currently Netflix original, once BBC America original, The Last Kingdom, which is about Vikings and Saxons. So yeah.
Well, my question is, was this originally a romance novel also?
I will murder you.
If you didn't ask that, I will ask it was originally
I knew it was a race.
I will destroy you. No, it's not.
Is it the most important show to the tall boy Beastars?
No, it's not. It's not. It's a historical fiction show. My understanding is that they take a lot of liberties. It's not intended to be like a documentary, and it's the era of Saxon and Dane war that took place after the I've already forgotten this. The bastard armies. I cannot remember what I said. But yeah, it's that period where there's a lot of infighting and Wessex is the last kingdom, as it is in the title, the last Saxon kingdom fighting against Danes, and it's a pretty cool show. And this last season was pretty good. It's a lot of historical stuff and action and intrigue and people talking in weird made up accents that maybe didn't exist. But they're having fun with it. Yeah, yeah.
Well, with your love of all things Viking, it's a series I've never read, but I've heard good things about, and it might actually get you to read some sort of manga, but it's apparently called Vinland Saga, and it takes place in the 11th century.
That has actually piqued my interest in the past because
yeah, I've heard it's quite good.
I've not heard of this.
Well, yeah, because not a lot is actually done with the Vinland stuff. Like, there's what's that Carl Urban movie and the book Pathfinder?
Pathfinder.
Yeah, Pathfinder, which is about a Viking who grows up amongst Native Americans, I think. And that takes place kind of in Vinland. But the Vikings made it to America, so I've actually been curious about that manga because that's something that, yeah, not a lot of and a Japanese interpretation of like a Scandinavian story. That's automatically.
If you are interested, they did 24 episodes of an anime that's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
good luck finding it.
Yeah, good luck getting to it. Yeah. Yeah, so that's interesting. I do like, I check out Viking stuff just if I see like a hint of Vikings, I will be
Did you
to it.
Did you touch God of War at all?
No, I want to. I want to,
because like
if you're a fan, you would like God of War.
Like God of War does like a really, really good job with like the more real, in quotes, Norse mythology.
Yeah. I've heard that. Like I've heard the storytelling is really strong, and it looks like they have a handle on their like
having the actual Acer and the Veneer. Was it the Veneer?
Mm-hmm.
As two separate groups, like
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait! I just realized something.
What?
Northman has its cast, like the Robert Eggers.
Yeah, they announced that. Yeah, I think we did talk about that on it.
No, we didn't. We ended up cutting the show short because we never got to it.
Willem Dafoe's in it, so Willem Dafoe.
It's the Eggers regulars. It's all of him. It's like everybody. I mean, he only has 2 movies, so regulars. But yeah, Anya, my girl, is in it.
Nicole Kidman, Skarsgård, both 2 Skarsgårds.
Is Robert in it, or was he?
Bill and Alexander.
Bill.
Interesting.
But yeah, I'm excited about that.
The day that release date gets announced, Arlen's camping out in the theater.
I will be living in the theater. I will be in there, like the Phantom of the Opera, as I said in the chats. And the Andrew Lloyd Webber music will follow me. And I'll be rewatching The Last Kingdom.
And Vikings and all the other, and playing Hellblade again.
Vikings kind of lost me.
I never got into it. It felt like too much like trying to be Game of Thrones, but I've heard good things.
It's good, but and I don't like saying this because I feel like it's kind of derisive. When Travis Fimmel, the lead of that show, spoilers, he dies as Ragnar in real life in quotes, as Ragnar did it, he died. After that, it kind of lost me, just because it's the heathen army invading, and yeah, like it just didn't work for me because none of the leads were as interesting. I like the idea of those characters. Ivar the Boneless is a cool historical figure, especially the way that they depict him.
How does one get the title of the Boneless?
He has no bones. That's
just
literal. Yeah. Well, so it's one of those things where nobody knows how boneless he actually was. There's some debate as to whether or not boneless means that he had no bones, or whether it means that he had no stamina or no forethought or ability to follow through on the things that he did.
Well, if he had no bones,
is it like saying someone's spineless?
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to follow through on anything because he would just be a pile of flesh screaming.
So, yeah, in the show Vikings, and this is like the most badass thing that they do, I think, with that character. He's a man where everything below the waist is just like flesh. It's just flesh hanging there. There's just nothing.
Oh, so he's also boneless that way.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, no, I think that does work because of things that happen in the show. That part does function because there are no actual bones there. So yeah, but
does
other
he
than
have
that,
braces to walk around with? Like what? How does
he walks around on his legs, and he has the character of Floki build him a chariot, like a souped up battle chariot. It's pretty fucking cool. But the shit just lost me because like there were sequences that are cool, and there are a lot of very cool battle sequences, but the characters sort of just like stopped being as interesting because Travis Fimmel brought this like energy to the show that's just not there as much.
Yeah, I heard he's a big like reason to watch is because of him.
Yeah, like he's
all that Warcraft money.
Yeah, he gives it like a something. Him and the guy who plays the evil priest and Mandy, like their energy together, and their scenes together.
Wait, he's in it?
Yeah, he's in it. He plays
I saw his penis in Mandy.
Yes, he did. He plays the Lord of Wessex before the Lord of Wessex in the Last Kingdom.
So back real quick to this boneless guy. So you say he's boneless from like the waist down. How does he walk around if he doesn't have bones from the waist down? No, you said he walks around.
No, on his arms, I said.
No, Arlen, you did say legs.
Yeah.
No, I meant to say on his arms. He walks on his arms. He has like padding on his hands, and he literally like pulls himself by his arms.
So he crawls around
yes, he crawls around, but he's still like an utter badass. Like he killed 5 men.
He probably had like cerebral palsy back then, and just nobody knew what to.
Well, I'm looking at his Wikipedia, and they're like, it could just be a mistranslation, and that it was that he was the hated and not the boneless.
They didn't write that's the thing. They didn't write things down. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The Vikings didn't write things down until far later. But
yeah, that's why we know nothing about Norse mythology.
We know nothing from their point of view. We know what the Anglo-Saxons said about them, and what was told to them about them. But other than that, we don't know anything firsthand that's not said 200 years after the fact. After the Swedes and the Norwegians and the Danes have Christianized. So yeah, like it's a real rough period if you want firsthand information that's not heavily mythologized. Like for them, it's still their Greek period. It's their version of Hercules, and all that stuff, and their sort of pantheon of heroes. Just we have the other side of those stories, and we have their accounts of it. So it's this weird sort of nether region of information and history. That's kind of fascinating because you can read their takes of it and get these just crazy stories about people being led into pits of snakes and surviving the poisonous bites for 7 days before saying, "Oh, how the pigs will squeal when they hear that the big pig died." But yeah, it's weird. It's a weird stuff. I am floundering at least, so I think we're wrap.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah.
This is a fun little.
Yeah.
Oh, I have Finland Saga. Yes, I have. I literally just saw Lou's post on here, so.
Yeah. Well, I can segue into a plug because one of Arlen's other favorite shows, Outlander, the star of that was in the recent movie that John watched with me and Connor and Siler, Bloodshot.
Okay.
Was he good in it at least?
When he was human or when he was PS2 graphics?
When he was on screen as himself. Was Sam Heughan?
Sam Heughan.
Was he an all right villain, an all right heavy?
One of the better parts of the movie. Him and Lauren Morris.
Yeah.
I guess he is. Like, I don't like. Well, I don't want to talk about Bloodshot too much, but like he's. I guess he's the big bad in some ways, but he's better than Camera Tits, but that's not a high bar.
Was there a stinger for any other
no, there's literally zero mention of anything else from Valiant at all.
Good, great. Because I was hoping there might be a ninja or exactly. Yeah.
It almost works as if like what's his name from Iron Man 3 survived, and then this is what he's doing now. Guy Pearce.
Lou, I just looked up the Wikipedia. We almost got Jared Leto as Bloodshot.
Maybe
actually, I think that would have been better because he can actually move, and he's not a 57-year-old man.
Actually, get in shape and have not his entire body shot from the waist up.
Wow.
Maybe instead of Bloodshot, now he's Morbius.
Yeah, we'll see if that movie ever fucking comes out.
It's filmed. It's part of. Oh, didn't Sony announce what the name? We talked about it.
God, we talked about this. Yeah,
this is the name of their cinematic universe. They named it.
Oh no!
It's a really bad.
I think it's like 7 words.
It's like a mouthful. Okay, hang on. Let me. The Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters.
So you mean they're Spider-Man characters? That's all.
But not Spider-Man.
If you have to use the competition's name in your cinematic universe, you're not doing it right.
Cool. I can tell like Eric's like ready to just like.
Let there be carnage, though.
Let there be carnage.
Fuck.
Burn me to the ground.
Yeah, to segue back into my plug. So yeah, we watched Bloodshot. You can sync it up to the movie. I would say it's a fun way to watch that movie, and it's kind of the only way to make that movie enjoyable is to watch it with friends and shit on it.
Same with Cats, which we also did.
Yeah, I liked Cats better than Bloodshot, but yeah, check all that out. Yeah, Bloodshot's not bad enough to be fun.
Wow. Okay.
Big horny Cats than old ass Vin Diesel.
How dare you? He's a national treasure, you son of a bitch.
No, he's feuding with the Producers Guild of America over Fast 9 producing credits.
Oh, hey, real quick. Sorry, before you do your plugs, Arlen, I just wanted to point out that apparently Marvel almost sold all of their characters' movie rights to Sony back in 1998.
Yeah, that was known.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I did not know that. Good job. Good job, Ike. Yep. But yeah.
Oh yeah, anyways. I also forgot Toby Kebbell's in this movie, so he's 2 for 2 for shithole comic book movies.
Yeah, he knows how to pick them. He did that Ben-Hur movie, directed by the director of Night Watch. He was in that. He knows how to pick them. He knows how to pick them outside of Planet of the Apes. Plugs. Lost Sorrow podcast 3 weeks out of the month. Mostly we may be going up to every single week because we're getting to the point where we're realizing that maybe we need more time for the Bond movies, and 3 movies per episode isn't a sustainable idea. So there may be a lot more of the Bond podcast than we initially expected. So look forward to that. Also, time may not matter because No Time to Die may not come out when they said it would. We'll find out.
Also, what is the meaning of time when everyone is just stuck in their house all day, every day?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we don't know what's gonna happen. I'm looking at a Batman thing right now, at a Batman standee, and I don't even know where it came from.
I was actually like, "Are you having a stroke, Arlen? Like, what are you talking about?"
Who are you?
So yeah, I think that's all my plugs because Monster Mash is not currently a thing, but it might be coming back. Who knows?
Now that Tall Boys are real boys, so yeah, his own apartment, where he can have his EF parties.
Is that the Guillermo movie that he's making for Pinocchio?
That's who he is. He's Pinocchio.
Yeah, that's his persona, Pinocchio. I'm Eric Fedorchak. You can find me at Eric_Feeder on Instagram. There's pictures of cats and comics there. I'm also floating around the Phantom Zone doing a thing there. Just fuck ever. Also, yeah, just don't be assholes, please. Like I was reading about in a city that apparently the mayor to rescind the requirement that people wear face masks into stores because the employees were getting threatened by people who didn't want to wear face masks. Like apparently someone threatened violence with a gun on somebody there. Like, you fucking pricks. Like, this isn't a constitutional thing. This is just, hey, I'm looking out for other people. Like, right. I'm not just looking out for myself. So just all of you go choke on a bag of fucking hot dogs, you assholes.
To quote Tilda Swinton, it's not about you. So yeah, that's the show.
Well, does John have any? Wow. Just pushing John out.
Thanks, Arlen.
I thought John did his plugs.
No, are you drunk? What's going on?
I'm plugging.
I mean, I am about halfway through this bottle, so hey, John, what's your plugs? You got stuff to tell us about?
Wow. Okay. Thanks. No, I don't have any plugs. What Lou plugged is what I would plug. So.
How anticlimactic. Bye.
Bye.
Follow me at young_comedy. Send me all your gift pics.